Okay, so we will discuss about critical analysis of Marx. Okay, so we have completed all the important theories which is there. So any doubts in this theories, historical materialism, class struggle and alienation? If you have any doubts, we can discuss maybe 10 minutes here and then we can move to the critical analysis, or I can directly move to the critical analysis also. Okay, one thing, some of you are writing answers and sending it to me. Actually, I forgot to get it evaluated. So you can just remind me. So those who didn't get your answers, okay, just remind me. You can just message me. A lot of messages are there. So since you are sending in WhatsApp, I may miss it. Okay, so please remind me in case if I'm not giving you after 2 days. So any doubts here?
As of now, we don't have any. I don't have any doubt with these topics like historical materialism and alienation. But I have some confusion with the critical analysis, because if this is a tail word which is attached to with some of the question, so what should be our approach to answer that question, like critical analysis part?
We will discuss today critical analysis part.
Okay. No, the exact word, we will discuss with respect to the topic like historical materialism. The exact word.
Now here we are looking for, critically analyze. That means you have to highlight to what extent this is applicable, whether Marxian theories are applicable or not. So what are the drawbacks? Everything has to be discussed here. To what extent it is applicable, that means that we will discuss in terms of contribution and relevance. To what extent it is not applicable. So that we will see in general also and specific to that particular theory also. We will discuss.
This is applicable for applicability part of critical analysis is valid for any of the GS paper. Like in any GS paper, if the critical analysis or critically analyze, so we have to answer the question the same way.
Yes. Critical analysis means you have to see the positives, negatives, and you have to find the net balance. So here, especially when we talk about critical analysis, when it comes to thinkers, we will also have to incorporate their ideas, their perspective and everything, and to what extent they are showing commitment to their ideology. For example, when we talk about Durkheim, he is a positivist. To what extent he is sticking to that? That is what one dimension of criticism. Similarly, to what extent they are sticking to that ideas that they are, giving. Different dimensions will come in critical analysis.
Yes.
So we will discuss that anyway. So here, critical analysis that I'm going to discuss is in different parts. So this is how I have divided. First, you have to have the contribution. Okay, so the thinker, if it is Marx, so here first you will start with the contribution of Marx. Now before that, the question will be like this only: critically analyze this theory, this theory, this theory, right? It will be a direct question. Critically analyze Marx theory of historical materialism, critically analyze class struggle, critically analyze alienation, okay? Or alienation, you will be getting a statement. It is not the consciousness of man that determines his existence. On the other hand, it is a social existence that decides the consciousness. And then they will ask you to critically analyze. So you have to know that this is related to alienation. Or you should be in a position to connect Marxian arguments with respect to that particular statement. Even if you're talking from historical materialism point of view, then also you can make it correct from the basic assumptions of Marx. Okay, so you have to identify if it is statement, what you need to write over there. But obviously this part, introduction part will be same. So that we have covered. Introduction you will get from the first discussion that we have done, Marx idea about society and change. From that you will get beautiful introduction. Right, Marx, what is Marxian concept of society, what is Marxian concept of production, how production takes place, what is FOP, what is ROP. So briefly you can talk about everything and you can bring your introduction very well. So I don't think that you will face any problem in writing introduction with respect to any theories of Marx. So that part is done. Then you have to talk about the theory, because the question is asked about the theory, particular theory, you have to talk about the theory. If it is alienation, discuss about what is alienation and what are the different types of alienation. In capitalism, what are the different types of alienation. So discuss that. Then briefly talk, now comes the main part, the CCR part. I've already discussed this. Contribution you discuss. Then criticisms you will discuss. And when we discuss about the criticism, we will divide this into two. we will divide into general criticism. That means generally Marx is criticized on certain grounds, right? Here the question is specific. The question is critically analyze historical materialism. But historical materialism, this theory is based on some general perception and concepts of Marx, right? So generally you can criticize Marx on certain lines, like his emphasis on conflict perspective, like his emphasis on economic infrastructure, like his emphasis on macro aspects. We will come to that. So these all are general criticism which can be used in any theory. So introduction will be common, okay, contribution will be common, because two theories will not be asked from Marx together. So only one will be asked. So introduction you can fit, okay, contribution that I'm going to give you now, that you can arrange around 120 words I will give you. You just need 30-40 words maximum from that. Even if two questions are asked, you can write it, okay. Then criticism, this will also be common for all the theory. If it is historical materialism, general criticism remain the same for all the theories. Then we need to talk specific criticism. So specific criticism, and I won't recommend you to study 10-15 criticisms. 2 or 3 is enough from each. Historical materialism, maybe you can say communism is a utopian concept. So simple one criticism is there. Okay, similarly you can talk about, in case of societies like Asia, there was Asiatic mode of production, right? So his conception of feudal mode of production was never practiced in societies like Asia. So it is not universally applicable theory like that. So 1 or 2 is enough, because general you will be writing around 3-4 criticism, and your answer you cannot accommodate more than 5-6 criticism. Okay, so even if you don't know any specific criticism, still it will do with the general criticism, because any of the theories, historical materialism or class struggle or alienation, the general criticism itself is enough to criticize all these 3 theories. So specific criticism is just a value addition, okay, maybe not a big deal. So 2 or 3, 2 is enough, 2 specific criticism enough. If you see the textbooks, you will get, even in Nitin Sangwan also, a lot of criticisms are there. Maybe 2 or 3 you can see that from there, or I will also give you 2-3 criticisms. I'll give you 4 or 5 criticisms. 1 or 2 or 3 maximum is what required. Focus on this general part, because that can be used in all the cases. Okay, so specific criticism for historical materialism, class struggle and alienation. You study separately, maybe 2 for this, 2 for this and 2 for this. That's it, okay. And then comes this R, that is relevance. So that's how your answer should look like. If it is a long answer, if it is a short answer, if there are chances are rare that they will ask you a critical analysis in 10 marker. If it is 10 marker, directly hit on the theory, just talk what is the theory. There is no need of introduction, big introduction, maybe 1 line you can talk about intro, hit on the theory and go to the criticism, okay, and maybe relevance 1 line you can write. So that should be the strategy in case of 10 marker. Okay, so it has to be spot on into the theory and into the criticism. And their criticism can be general in nature, that is better for you. So I hope you understood, but mostly critical analysis, if you see, these are 20 markers. So this has to be the structure that you need to follow. So what we will do now is, introduction part is already done, theory already done. Now we are focusing on CCR. And this is how I am doing all the thinkers. So first, any thinker we will discuss about introduction, that we have done. Then we will discuss about all the theories which are there in the syllabus. That also we have done. We have discussed about historical materialism, class struggle and alienation. Now comes the critical analysis part. So here what I am going to do now is contribution I will discuss, criticism, that is general and specific, and then relevance also we will discuss. So let's start with the contribution. So can you say what are the contribution of Marx? So you people only told me Marx has saved capitalism, right? Right, so you can write what are the contribution. Can you tell me what are the contribution of Marx? Is there any contribution towards the development of sociological theories? So there are contribution towards development of sociological theories. We will see that, okay. So we have seen that his theories, right? So we have studied his theories. So development of sociological theories, new concepts, new methods, new perspective. So conflict perspective is a way to see things in a different way, okay. So all these things you can actually write. The welfare legislations, okay, welfare legislations and all, you can see in the welfare state, all are tracing its origin from Marx. So the labor welfare legislations, okay, so the capitalism has modified itself, capitalism changed itself, and it is more worker friendly now. So all these are, Marxian contribution. So that things you can write there. So I have taken it here. I'll give you directly the contribution. You can see from here, although Marxian theories have been criticized on number of accounts, his contribution to the development of sociological theory, introduction of new concepts and new methods remain unparalleled. So this sentence you will write in all the thinkers, not only Marx, even in Durkheim, even in Weber, even in Parson and Merton, even to an extent Mead also you will write this. Okay, his contribution to sociological theory. As long as you are supposed to study a theory, you will say this is a contribution, right? New concept. Every thinker is giving one or the other concept. For example, Marx is giving a conflict approach and this idea of infrastructure, superstructure, etc. to understand society. Durkheim was giving different other ideas like social fact. Weber is talking about social action. Merton is is a mix of grand theory, universal theory, grand theory, generalized theory, multidisciplinary approach, micro macro integration. Merton, when we discuss about again manifest latent function, so different thinkers are giving. So this is common, new methods. This sentence is common for all the thinkers, in fact. Marxian theories emerged as a radical perspective in the understanding. Radical perspective means which perspective? I'm talking about conflict perspective, trying to identify the dysfunction, right? For example, when we talk about family, family create the labor. Family make the people, the worker submissive to the capitalist. It is because of family only you are getting exploited. If there is no family, family create labor. The role of family is reproduction for what? Reproduction for capitalism. To survive capitalism, you need labor. So family produce labor. Not only produce labor, family will change their attitude in such a way that they will be very submissive to the capitalist and they are ready to get exploited. At the same time, because of family, they will not go for revolution. Okay, they will develop an attitude which is a kind of submissive attitude to the capitalist. This contributed a lot towards the generation of balanced understanding of society. Okay, the conflict perspective is giving the different dimension of society. Apart from this, Marxian concerns motivated new areas of research and new streams within sociology. For example, sociology of work, industrial sociology, of their origin to the concerns raised by Marx. Now, Marx's contribution must also be analyzed in terms of qualitative changes in the policies of the state during the 20th century and 19th century. The welfare legislations of labor, changes in the nature of capitalism, all are linked to Marxian theories. So in this context, it is said that Marx has saved capitalism. So this sentence anyway you can write. Conflict perspective also you can write. Okay. No, it's up to you. There is everything is something which you can incorporate in your answer. Now it's all about you, what you pick and how you write in 30 to 40 words. That's the challenging part. Next is general criticism. Okay, let me ask you. What are the general criticism? What do you feel? In which all areas you can criticize Marx?
Like we say that Marx was, Marx gave reductionist theory because he is reducing everything to social superstructure and excluding the functions of social superstructure. I mean, economic infrastructure.
Yes. Okay. So you said social superstructure.
So Marx talk about polarization.
Polarization, don't you think it's a specific criticism?
Not polarization, sir. It's talking about the polarization of the middle class to either proletariat or bourgeoisie.
That's what Gaurang said, no?
Yes, this is polarization. Okay, sir.
Yeah, that's what he said. Class polarization involve two processes. So class polarization means both are saying the same thing. Class polarization means the entire process, like from middle class to proletariat and bourgeois. This is bourgeoisization. And this is proletarianization, right? So both are part of what? class polarization. So this concept has gone wrong. But Gaurang, don't you think this is more specific criticism which will be more suitable for class struggle theory?
Yes.
So that is more specific, but still you can write here because entire theory, the historical materialism is also based on class, alienation also based on class struggle also based on class. So in that context, you can write, but I would say it is more specific to class struggle. Still, everything is interlinked in case of Marx. So if you wish to, you can write in general criticism also. No problem. Okay, the first one is very valid. Yeah.
Is prediction of socialism and communism gone wrong?
Okay, again that is specific only, no? That is not general criticism.
So he focus on economic
infrastructure. Economic aspects, economic infrastructure by...
Society from, yes sir. And his theories are utopian up to some extent.
Yeah, his theories are utopian because the concept of communism will never come into existence. The concept of communism, it is better to write as specific criticism to mode of production or historical materialism. But otherwise also you can write it in general because it is coming in, communism concept is coming in class struggle as well as alienation also. So the concept of communism is utopian, so his concept of de-alienated man is never possible. The concept of total man is never possible. That is a criticism. So that can be written in alienation, historical materialism, so it can be generalized.
So conflict perspective is a general criticism?
Conflict perspective is the most important general criticism because he is only trying to see the dysfunctions. So he is only trying to see everything from conflict perspective or dysfunction. For example, family is an exploitative agent, right? Religion, again supporting capitalist. State is supporting capitalist. So he is having only one-dimensional understanding by using conflict perspective. He is only trying to identify the dysfunction, ignoring the equilibrium in the society. All these family have a lot of good functions to do. Educational institution also having a lot of good function. Okay, so religion is integrating people according to Durkheim. So he is ignoring the dysfunction. He is ignoring the equilibrium in the society, the social order. He is somebody's mic is on. Can you please turn it off? So he is ignoring the equilibrium. So conflict. So we have discussed about this first one, reductionist. Marx is often accused as being a reductionist. Reductionist means he is reducing everything to economic infrastructure, okay, so or material condition, in ignoring the role of superstructure. Or you can write it as a separate criticism also. Marx is giving extra emphasis to economic infrastructure, ignoring the superstructure. But in the present day society, even the superstructure also can play a big role, in changing the society. So that is first one.
Reductionist approach. Can we say this is very specific to like economic infrastructure and social superstructure, because we cannot see any aspect of reductionist in case of class struggle and the alienation part. Even
reductionist mainly we are trying to understand reductionism in this context, like the theory is already there in his mind. So whatever he want to convey, that it is actually not a theory which is framed or formulated through data or anything. It is something which is already there in mind. So that is why we are saying reductionist. And he is reducing everything to that economic condition, material condition. Everything in society is based on material condition. The change is based on material condition. The relations are based on material condition. So everything he explained in terms of that. That's why this word we are using.
Sir, Marx's ignorance of micro perspective.
That is a general criticism. Yeah, who was that?
Sir, he saw cause of every problem is capitalist.
Rather, we can say cause of every issues connected to economic infrastructure, not capitalist. It is a system. If you remember, I've told you even the capitalist also alienated, right? So it is not the problem. Marx is not saying capitalist is the problem. Marx is saying capitalism is the problem. So that is a high level. If you understood Marx, you should interpret in this way. It is not the capitalist who is creating the problem. It is a system which is creating the problem.
अरे वीडियो रहता है
And even the capitalists are also alienated, okay, because capitalist is also following the system, so his own ideas is also shaped by the system. So first one, reductionist. Second, we have told about conflict perspective. He is giving too much emphasis for conflict perspective. Yeah, Asif, tell me.
Sir, what could be the conflict perspective view of class struggle?
Conflict perspective view means every work class struggle. So between
I understand what is the conflict perspective view. Like conflict perspective, only watching the dysfunction of a particular thing, but not considering the functional part. Okay.
No. That is not necessary. There, here, Marxian idea of conflict is because if you upper class and lower classes, their ideas are contradictory, their interests are contradictory, everything is contradictory. That also seen through the eyes of conflict perspective. That's why the revolt is there. The identifying the contradiction is conflict perspective.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, it is about identity. It is not it is like kids will say identifying dysfunctions. We should not say. It is all about identifying the contradictions. Okay, so basically dysfunction, for understanding easily, you can take it as dysfunction, but it is all about contradictions.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so conflict, he is giving extra emphasis on conflict perspective, ignoring the equilibrium of society. So yeah, Pratik.
Sir, theories are not universally applicable.
His theories are not universally applicable. Yes. Yeah. So we will say
That comes under Asiatic mode of production. That comes under this.
Yes.
Okay.
That is a specific case. We can say feudalism was not practiced in societies like Asia, but it is not universally applicable. You can say in case of class struggle also, because class struggle is not happening. Okay, by this time it would have happened according to Marx, and communism has never come, and this de-alienated man concept is not there. People are getting more and more alienated, so universally not applicable. Okay, then now what I want to know is which thinker you will use here when we talk about conflict perspective. Every criticism you write, I don't want you to write 10 criticisms. I just want you to write 3 or 4 criticism, or to the maximum 5. But every criticism has to be supported with one thinker. So who you will use, which person here when we talk about Weber? How?
Sir, I give more emphasis on the internal meaning. That is social action.
Pratik, we are talking about conflict perspective. So what is the opposite perspective of this?
Sir, I think Durkheim.
Opposite is functional perspective. So we should be talking about Durkheim here. Okay, so Durkheim is the best person to explain. Apart from that, you can also talk about Parson, because Parson is also talking about equilibrium concept in society. We will study that. So Parson is also talking about equilibrium. Durkheim is also talking about equilibrium. You can also talk about Davies and Moore in case of inequality, that we will discuss in stratification chapter. So here I'm not discussing. So why Weber come to your mind for conflict perspective? Okay, anyway, so we will support with Durkheim or Parson. Okay, now third one which you have told us related to Marx is talking about macro aspects, right? So he is giving importance to society, ignoring the individual. So that statement, if you see, it is not the consciousness of man that decides his existence. On the other hand, it is his existence that decides his consciousness. That means he is giving importance to society, right? So which thinker you will use here?
Weber, sir.
Yeah, here you will use Weber, because Weber says it is the internal dimension. It is your consciousness that decides your existence. So Weber says exactly the opposite. Okay, so here you should be using Weber and you should be talking about Weber. Then what you said, apart from reductionist, conflict and macro, what else we said? What else we discussed?
Utopian concept.
Yeah, utopian concept, Dahrendorf. Main criticism is Dahrendorf. Okay, he is a main critic of Marx. Dahrendorf also talking about one very important thing in this. This idea is decomposition of capital. You know what is decomposition of capital? What do you think decomposition of capital? What does it mean? Now it is not the capitalist, not communism. It is not the capitalist who own the complete capital, right? Even the worker also contribute to the capital because of the share market and everything. So even the workers also have the shares in the company. So the workers actually want to work more because they are getting the dividend. So they are also, see, even if you hold 1% of the share, to the extent of shareholding that you have, you are the owner, you will be getting the dividend. So the company is going profitable means you are only getting the benefit. So workers are more motivated now. So there is no scope of revolution because of decomposition of capital. That is also given by Dahrendorf. But that one you can write a specific one. But here Dahrendorf also talked about this is utopian concept. Utopian concept. Yeah, something else was saying, somebody?
Sir, so decomposition here can be understood as redistribution of wealth or capital, right?
Redistribution is different, decomposition of capital is different. Redistribution is a social related thing. It is part of social justice. Redistribution is different. Income redistribution, that is to avoid inequality, that is different. Decomposition of capital means it is through share equity. It is not only one person who is holding a company. It is multiple people. Especially even a worker can also buy the share from the stock market, no? Like that.
Right. Okay.
Income redistribution is different concept. Okay, what else you can write here?
So, can we say capitalism plays a functional role in the society because more efficient firms will drive out less efficient firms?
That is, in economic terms, it is better.
Okay.
Okay, efficient firms will be doing good. Otherwise, inefficient firms will make profit and inefficient firms will also survive. That is not good for, economic point of view. Social point of view, we don't want to discuss that.
Okay.
Macro, what else we need to? The Grant theories, his theory is universally not applicable. That also we have said. And that's enough. So these are the general criticisms which you can write. Okay. So I think you will not face any problem with these general criticism. Now, even what I'm saying is, even if you are not able to get any specific criticism, you can manage your answer with these general criticism because you can find these things everywhere. Okay. If you talk about conflict, you can see in all the theory. Macro, you can see in all the theory. Utopian concept in all the theory. So you don't want to worry in case if you are not able to remember any specific criticism, but if you can remember 2 or 3 apart from this, it will be very good. So let's move on to the general criticism. Marx is often accused of being a reductionist. He lays overemphasis on material factors over others. He tends to reduce the process of change to changes in productive forces. Whereas nowadays the elements of superstructure has the potential to cause change. Moreover, in the present IT-based society, even the ideas of individual can bring profound changes in society. So you can talk about Facebook, YouTube, etc. All these are examples that the idea of an individual can bring so much change in society. See, now understand that we are criticizing Marx. So here, who's talking about idea? Hegel. Okay, so we are supporting Hegel here because we are criticizing Marx. But when we support Marx, what we will say? According to Marx, ideas are part of what? Ideas come where? Ideas are part of what, according to Marx?
Labor, human labor.
Material conditions.
No.
Superstructure.
Yes,
Economic superstructure.
economic superstructure. What is that?
Economic infrastructure.
Ideas are part of social. Still you are having.
Social superstructure.
Social superstructure.
Ideas are part of social superstructure, and it is shaped by whom? It is shaped by economic infrastructure.
Economic.
So this is the Marxian view. that is why he is giving importance to economic infrastructure. But when we are criticizing, we are saying that ideas can generate change. Okay, so that is criticism part. Next, Marx has overlooked equilibrium in the society and overemphasizes on conflict. The dynamism is understood only in the context of conflict, where the society may change in order to bring equilibrium also. Okay, so here he is saying social change is because of conflict. Now here I am talking about one study. We will be discussing about this in detail when we discuss about Parson. So Parson society will be always in an equilibrium. For example, there are specific mechanisms in society. The role of the mechanisms is they will fulfill certain needs, and they fulfill needs and they will bring equilibrium in society. So society will be in an equilibrium, but there can be a situation where the equilibrium break. Okay, so there can be a breakdown or there can be a disturbance. In case of this disturbance, what will happen? The feedback will be given, so there will be a feedback. Okay, and the specific mechanisms will act again and fulfill the need, bring back equilibrium. So society will be always in an equilibrium. Okay, so social change can come because of this. So for example, internet and everything is emerging, so cyber laws are increasing, so equilibrium break. So what will happen? The feedback will be given. Policing, law, court, etc. will active and then fulfill the needs and will manage the equilibrium. Like that, new issues are coming, it will be managed through like this. So these things we'll discuss later in detail, Parson, but understand Marx is ignoring the equilibrium, but he is only talking about conflict when talking about change. So social change is because of class struggle according to Marx, but the functional theorists say that to bring equilibrium, society may change. Now, in fact, if you think from Marxian side, Marx also saying the same thing only. To bring a better society, we need social change, and social change through revolution. Okay, so Marx is also talking about the same thing, but in a different way. So here we are criticizing. Now here you can write later sociologists like Simmel, Coser have analyzed the functional dimensions of conflict. Now you can use Durkheim or Parson. This is better. These two you can use here. No need of using this. Third, Durkheim argued that certain degree of crime is okay. So certain degree of crime is essential. So we need to use any of the thinker, right? So here I am using that certain degree of crime is essential for maintaining the social order. At the same time, Marxian analysis of conflict is highly incomplete, as he only talks of conflict at the level of class. So he's only talking at the class level conflict, but he is ignoring the other aspects of conflict, right? So there can be caste conflict, etc. Especially in Indian context, the conflicts are possible in different dimensions for different reasons. Marx only talking about class conflict. A more comprehensive understanding of conflict explains both micro and macro levels of conflict. While explaining the cause of conflict, Marx takes into consideration the contradictions in the production process, whereas there can be so many other factors which cause conflict. For example, Dahrendorf in his book Class and Class Conflict in Industrial Society understand conflict in terms of differential authority structures. Okay, Marx lays more emphasis on this again very important, giving importance to macro, ignoring micro. So you use Weber here. Okay, so you use Weber here. So we have already discussed this. Weber considered understanding the subjectivity of the individual as essential for understanding society. Okay. Now, next is that universal applicability we will question. Marx has proposed general theories based on assumptions. Such generalized theories are rarely applicable in all situations. Postmodernists question the validity of generalized theories and favor micro theories, which are relevant in the specific context. Moreover, it is always argued that Marx failed to visualize the postmodern society and his theories cannot be applied as it is. So Marx failed to visualize postmodern society where capitalism adapted to the better situation, better conditions. Okay, so Marx failed to visualize that. So the neo-Marxist, that means the future Marxist, those who are the followers of Marx, they have changed some of the assumptions of Marx Okay, the different schools are there, critical school, the Frankfurt school, they are all the followers of Marx. But there are some changes in the basic assumptions that they are following, like Adorno, Marcuse, Habermas, etc. We don't want to discuss in detail about them. It is not there in the syllabus, but towards the end we will discuss that. For example, neo-Marxist and the critical school, although following the assumptions of Marx, modified his theories to suit to the changing conditions. Critical theorists of Frankfurt school like Habermas, Adorno, Marcuse, etc. examine the role of elements of superstructure also in understanding the capitalist society. Okay, here I have written class polarization also you can add. Something else also you were saying, I missed it out. So class polarization you can add and you can draw the diagram. Okay, this is the Weber's concept, middle class is widening. So this is the concept of Marx, right? Class polarization either to this or to this. So this never happened. This has happened, or you can draw this also. No need to draw both. Okay, so it's up to you. Now we will see specific criticisms. If you see, I'll give you specifically criticisms later. Now we will see the relevance of Marx. Okay, so relevance. You can see the two questions. What is Marx's theory of alienation? To what extent the theory is relevant in the present context. So here directly relevance is asking. So this way also you need relevance. Okay, and discuss Marx's theory of historical materialism. Is it relevant today? So this is one way of the question which can be asked. Here it is not about critical analysis or anything. It is about checking the relevance. Here also you need to talk about positives and negative, and finally you have to tell whether it is relevant or not. Now, so here two parts you will answer. Firstly, you will tell how a particular theory is relevant. Okay, so is it relevant today? If it is relevant, how it is relevant? Then to what extent it is not relevant? Okay, for example, certain concepts like class struggle, if you see. Class struggle may be relevant in understanding the inequalities present in society even now, especially in the third world countries or developing and underdeveloped countries. So in that context, we can say class struggle may be relevant. Alienation may be relevant because the present day, the IT structure, IT setup and all, people are so much alienated and facing so much of problems, individual and psychological problems. So that may be relevant. Now, to what extent it is not relevant, you can say also. So these are the two parts which should be there in your answer. Okay, all I have incorporated in the relevance in a practical way. So relevance means applicability of the theory in the present context in understanding individual and society. So you need to tell, and to understand the present context, how much Marxian theories are relevant. For example, I have told you class struggle theory. This is important for understanding inequality in the present society. You can understand certain social problems like corruption, etc. by using Marxian theory. Okay, then you can also talk about this growing psychological disorder, and for that you can use alienation. So to what extent it is relevant? So in the present context, that is the first part in relevance. Okay. Secondly, in relevance you can see applicability of the theory in understanding specific situations like problems, social change, crime, corruption, etc. So why all these things are happening? That whether you can explain with Marx theory or not. That is one thing. Third is the extent of use made by the future theorist or planners. So planners anyway, here Marxian assumptions are not taking into consideration. But future theorists obviously use Marx theory. So all these three we can accommodate in your answer, and this is an application in the future. So present, future, and specific problems or situations, and the future theorist, how much or to what extent it is used by the future theorist. So these are four dimensions which has to be there in your answer when we discuss about relevance. So relevance can be asked as a separate question like this. So you need to talk in these dimensions if the question is asked like relevance directly. Critical analysis, you just need one or two lines towards the end to write the relevance. Marxian theories are relevant till the time poverty and exploitation exist. That's enough. Okay. So here we will discuss in detail. Although Marx has been criticized on a number of accounts, but his theories are still considered relevant. Various theories like historical materialism, class struggle and alienation can be used to understand the society and individual today. For example, Marxian theories have been applied to understand the emerging world order by world system theorists theory by Immanuel Wallerstein is quite famous in this regard. Just note this point down. We will be discussing this in detail in your chapter 10. So theory of Immanuel, world system theories are coming there, because when we discuss about social change, this person is coming, so this theory is coming. So it will be very easy for you to write this example. That's why I've taken this example. Similarly, Marxian ideas have been found highly relevant in understanding the dynamics of present society. Postmodern theories like Baudrillard have used the concept of hyperreality to explain the exploitative system generated by the MNCs. So hyperreality means you give like fake and false advertisements, and you create a hyperreality. You tell that if you use this, you will be better, right? Thumbs up, taste the thunder. All these are hyperreality. Okay, so these are created by MNCs. In the present society, Marxian idea of alienation has been found relevant in understanding individual and related issues. Various studies on social consequences of information technology use alienation to explain the isolation and the growing psychological disorder due to excessive use of computers, mobile phones, social media platforms, etc. Various crimes like corruption, murders, theft, etc. can be best explained by using this concept. It is said that Marxian theories are always be relevant up till the time poverty and exploitation exist. So if you don't get anything, just write this aspect. Okay, the relevance of his theory echoes in the welfare policies of state nowadays and continuous modification in capitalist society. So from the state side, welfare policies, capitalist system is also changing. The labor welfare legislations can be attributed to Marxist ideas. Apart from these, existing theoretical perspectives frequently use Marxian assumptions to develop more practical understanding of society. For example, the theory of class and class struggle is still relevant for understanding patterns of inequality, especially in the developing and underdeveloped countries. Thus, it is said that howsoever deficient Marxian theories may be in understanding the present reality, it may be deficient in understanding the present reality. Still, the policy makers and the theorists cannot afford to ignore the questions raised by Marx. So everything that we have written in the last paragraph is so important, and whatever you feel like you can pick from this. So howsoever deficient Marxian theories may be in understanding the present reality, you may call it as utopian, you may call in any way, but policy makers and the theorists cannot afford to ignore the concerns raised by Marx. Till the time poverty and exploitation is there, exploitation of man by man is there, Marx is relevant. So you can love Marx, you can hate Marx, but you cannot ignore Marx. Okay? Specific criticisms, historical materialism, class struggle, alienation. I will give you the material, you can just read it out. It is very simple. Or, okay, if you talk about historical materialism, one I have told you related to Asiatic mode of production. Okay, so it is not necessary that feudal mode of production was practiced everywhere. So it is not universally applicable. Asiatic mode of production in societies like Eastern societies like Asia, where the land is communally owned. Okay, there is no master-slave relation, there is no feudal lord or serfs. Okay, there is no question of universal applicability of this theory now. That feudal mode of production was not there in Asian societies. Then another point which you can discuss is the view of capital. Capital view of Dahrendorf, which I have told you. Dahrendorf, okay, because of you can purchase the shares of the company. Any worker can also be the owner of the company. So nowadays what is actually happening, the interest of the worker and the capitalist is not contradictory, rather their interests are same, because the worker is also getting the dividend and benefit because he is also the owner of the company to the extent of ownership that he has. Okay, so that you can write. Then the socialist conception not realized. Socialism and communism is not realized, or socialist conception is not realized, you can say, and communism is utopian. Communism is utopian, it will never realize. There is no workers' revolt. Okay, so all those things you can write under this. Historical materialism, first one. Any doubts here?
No, sir.
Now when we discuss about this is very simple. You will read and you will criticism means even you can also raise criticism, not a problem. If you understood the theory, criticism is very easy. The general criticism, if you know specific, is not a big deal. You read anything and whatever you feel like easy for you or which one you can connect more. A lot of criticism is given in essential sociology. You just go through that, you will get a lot of criticism. Otherwise thinkers, you don't want to read from that. You will not be able to connect to that. We have covered thinkers in a much better way. Just read that for criticism. And maybe for chapter 3, you can read chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5 from that. Thinkers don't even touch. No need to look into that. Okay, you will see the difference if you look into that and our notes. There's a clear-cut conceptual clarity you will get from here. There is no need to rely on that. Just get the criticisms if you need. It's like whatever criticism you feel good from that book or any book, you can take it. Okay, maybe you can refer to Vajiram note also. So whatever criticism you feel, anyway, I will also give you write-up. I just want to give you around 5 to 6 criticism from each topic. I will do that. I'll update it. So apart from that, whatever you feel like you can get from this or essential sociology or anything what you having. Okay, what about class struggle? What you can write here? You can say class struggle is increased or decreased. What Marx said is class struggle will increase throughout history. But is there increase in class struggle or there is a decrease in class struggle?
Now there is a decrease in class.
There is a decrease in class struggle. There is no class struggle as such now. Okay, there is no such divisions. There is no class itself now. It is more of individualistic in nature. People don't want to group. Maybe in societies like Kerala only you will see this kind of organizations and strikes and bunds. But people are so much individualistic. People don't have time to form part of any organization or group or class or anything. So class struggle is decreased actually. Okay. Second, so here you can write Goldthorpe. You will see this the thinkers Goldthorpe and Lockwood. Okay, that theory you will see in essential sociology. You can read that. Polarization you can write here. Polarization has not happened. So you can talk about Weber. Polarization has not happened. Or you can say middle class expanded. So middle class expanded. So that you can write Weber. Middle class expanded. You can show this. Okay. Now again if you talk about class Marx identified in terms of dysfunction, right? But can we say class is functional? Because we will see in stratification chapter and we will identify class as functional in society. Okay, because different classes are performing different functions for the survival of the society. Society is surviving because different categories of people are doing different things. So we will discuss under stratification. So you will be in a position to write inequality. Inequality means class. Class means inequality only in a functional way. Okay. So
sir, if the employee of the company are not paid, okay, and they are going for a strike, is it relevant with the Marx?
It is relevant with the Marx if it is class 4 itself.
Class 4 itself.
Yeah.
Like there are many recent cases where the doctors are not paid the salaries and they are working for 3 months or the extra months, okay, and they are not paid the salaries.
Yes. All these are example for class 4 itself. Once they join together, when they unite.
Yeah, but there is no revolution, na?
Which one? No, revolution is not necessary. Class 4 itself means when the class develop consciousness. There is no need of revolution.
So when the class will develop the consciousness, then they will go for revolt and they will change the system.
No. It is not necessary that they will go for the revolt. The class develop consciousness, it will become class 4 itself. Here in the modern society, revolt and revolution is not possible. So that issue will be raised through some other methods, right? Strike and all these are the applicable or possible use or constitutional methods they are following. Revolution is not possible. So they are doing something, class 4 itself, they are coming with a strike or band or whatever it is. So this is class for itself. But whether it is based on true consciousness or false consciousness is the question. They may be able to get the salary, but with that we cannot conclusively say it is true consciousness. They may be sacrificing the life of, in case of doctors, they should not be doing it. It is actually against their medical ethics and all these things. So it may be based on false consciousness. Different thinkers will say differently. It may be true consciousness because they are able to get their salary, their situation they are able to manage. Class 4 itself means it is for their class. They don't want to care about patients or anything. But deontological thought, if you see, they are, the different opinion. It is false consciousness. They should not have done that. Okay, like that. But again, only class 4 itself, it will come.
In deontology, we are only seeing the means of doing a particular thing, but we are not seeing the actual goal. Like,
the idea of deontology is you try to stick to the right means. Automatically, you will achieve the goal.
You don't care about the goals, right?
You actually care for the goal, but the idea is you should not.
The means you are taking is not necessary to be good or the bad.
No, means has to be good. Means has to be good.
So deontology is means has to be good.
Yeah, utilitarianism is where means is not necessarily required.
Okay.
Okay, that is different part. That is not part of sociology. Others don't want to worry about that. That is ethics.
Ethics part, sir.
Yeah.
So
Ignore that. That is not required for you now. Okay, that's about criticisms.
So tomorrow we are starting the new chapter. Like
tomorrow we will start. I think with Durkheim we will start.
Okay.
Okay. Any doubts? Just go through those who have this essential sociology or any other textbook. Those who have, just go through the specific criticisms of each thinkers. Only criticism you can go through. Otherwise, we have complete. Everything is complete. In case any doubt is there, you refer to the classes again, videos again. So it is anyway updated, so you can see the videos.
Sir, in case of criticism, okay, the particular thinker whom we are using for criticize Marx, okay, there have been a mention of the book from where they have mentioned, or they are from where they are criticizing Marx.
It is unnecessary burden. It is that is not required. Thinker itself is enough. Even the Marx book also you will not be able to remember. Maybe in some cases, Marx. A lot of books are good. Huh?
Only Das Capital I remember.
Yeah, then forget about thinking of remembering the name of the books of the thinkers who's criticizing Marx. Not only Marx, now we are going to study about Durkheim, 3 theories, so 3 books. Okay, Weber, so many books. Okay, like that.
Okay, sir.
You can write paper 1 syllabus after it is over. Even now you can write first 3 chapters. 3rd chapter, although I haven't completed, you can write if you want. I'll share you the syllabus. Those who want to, you can write the chapter-wise test also. Comprehensive test, anyway you can write after completion of the syllabus. Chapter-wise, 8 will be there. 3 paper 1, 3 paper 2, and then consolidated, the comprehensive paper 1, paper 2.
And chapter-wise tests are 3.
3 chapter-wise tests from paper 1, 3 chapter-wise tests from paper 2, then paper 1, paper 2 comprehensive test.
Okay.
If you wish to, you can take more also, no problem. You can collect any question papers and you can take, I'll get it evaluated, no problem.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So we'll stop here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, see you.